So here's the new ambient lighting. It does look good, but as you can see, compared to the rest of the ambient lighting in the car, it's definitely far from perfect. What's going on YouTube? In today's video, I'm going to be upgrading the central console unit on the BMW 435. It's basically going to be the one in the LCI that has like the ambient lighting around. Should make the car look a lot cooler and a lot more modern. But anyways, let's get into it. So before I get started, just want to say really quickly, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell. I make videos very often, so definitely stick around and stay tuned. But yeah, let's get into it. All right, so here's the interior of the car. If you guys know these cars, it's basically the same with the F30s and the F32s. Pretty, I think literally the same exact interior, probably just different a little bit. But these cars do have some ambient lighting. So around the door over here, it's like underneath this like silver part, and then the same on the other side. It does also have some underneath and in the rear seat over there on both sides. But yes, so the LCI models, they also have some ambient lighting around this piece over here. This one is pre-LCI, so it doesn't have it. So I think that's a little unfortunate. I do love ambient lighting, to be honest, especially driving at night. I think it gives the car a really cool look. Most modern cars have a lot more ambient lighting. The ambient lighting looks a lot better in my opinion. But this car is from 2015, so we're gonna make do with what we have. So what I'm basically gonna do is add some ambient lighting over here, similar to the LCI model. So I guess like retrofitting that ambient lighting there. But anyways, let me show you the new piece. So this is it over here. Let me actually try to take off the plastic. Let's see if I can do it with one hand. So there it goes. All right. Nope, and there it goes back on. All right, well now with that off, you can see it over here. So one key difference other than the ambient lighting is this is actually all glossy, which I'll be honest, I'm not sure if I love. This piece here, the current one, does have that like matte look around the edges. I guess, I mean, maybe glossy will look better. I don't know. I really don't know. But it's definitely gonna attract a lot more dust and fingerprints, which is gonna kind of suck, but I mean, it is what it is. But obviously behind it, we have the actual LED lights, so that's gonna be for the ambient lighting. So that's basically what's gonna shine it. So what's cool about this is when you guys actually attach it, it's basically gonna link up with the car. So you know how you can basically control the ambient lighting through the iDrive system? So you control like the colors. I mean, there's only two colors. There's like white and then orange, and I only keep it on orange because it matches the rest of the car. But anyways, you can also control like the level of brightness. All that you can still control this new piece here with ambient lighting with the current iDrive system. So it's not like it's going to be independent of everything else. It's going to sync up and it's going to basically work with everything else, which I think is actually really cool. No additional coding needed for that either. You literally just plug it in and it'll work, which I think is pretty clutch. But yeah, I think that explains everything here. So I'm going to start installing it. This is not going to be like a super detailed tutorial. I'm just going to show you guys like high level, like what to do and whatnot. But I'll show you what it looks like before with all the ambient lighting in the car at night, because obviously even during the day with the ambient lighting on, you're not going to be able to see it. So let me show you a video of that. All right, so here's the interior of the car before I install the additional ambient lighting. Of course, the ambient lighting that I'm going to be installing is around this basically like centerpiece with the radio buttons and the AC controls and all that. The car does currently have some ambient lighting, which is nice. It's nothing too crazy. So it's mainly on the doors. So you can see right there is the passenger side door. Over here is the driver's side. So again, nothing too crazy. It also has some in the rear as well. If you can see that over there. Other than that, there's really not much ambient lighting in this car. All right, so now that you've seen the before, I guess, with all the ambient lighting and how it looks like in the car, let's install the new piece. Again, I'll show you like a high level of how to do it, and then I'll show you what it looks like at night. What I'm most curious about is I wonder if the new light over here is gonna match like the ones on the door, or if it's gonna be like, like if it's gonna be like a similar color, if it's gonna look different. I really hope it's similar because it's gonna create like a more cohesive look. But yeah, let's install it. Again, stick around to the end. I'll show you guys what it looks like, once it's all said and done. But yeah, let's start that right now. So to do this project, what you basically need in terms of tools is basically just like a Torx bit. So I think it's the T20. And then you also need a trim tool. So I have my Torx screwdrivers over here. I unfortunately forgot my trim tool, so I'm gonna run back upstairs and get it. Basically, there's 4 screws that basically hold in like this piece over here. So you need to take those off, and to get to them, you actually need to take off this whole piece over here, this entire trim. And then you also need to take off this bottom trim here. Once you take off both of those, you're gonna reveal the 4 screws holding this piece in. We can take this out, take off the AC stuff, the radio stuff, basically attach it onto this new piece, connect the wire on the new piece right there that's hanging, and then yeah, I think we should be good to go. so just a quick update over here. So I did get most of this off, so obviously this whole piece is off. This part was super easy. I was able to do it with my hands. If you are taking off with just your hands, obviously just be careful when you get to this part here. It gets skinnier and more fragile. Also, when you do it, you probably want to disconnect these two cables. That way you can just take the whole thing and just put it to the side. I put it over there. Hopefully it's fine. I don't think it'll get scratched on the seats like that. Also, for this piece over here, I was actually able to do it with just my hands. You can use like a plastic like pry tool or something like that and basically get underneath here and pry it down. When I was trying to unplug the plug though, I actually ended up taking off the entire light with it. So not just the plug. The light just literally slides into place. So when I took the light off, it was actually easier to unplug it. And then I just slid the light back into this plastic piece here. So now with those pieces off though, you can better see the screws over here. Again, I believe they're T20. So there's 1, 2, 3, and then 4 over there. So again, we're gonna unscrew those, take off this whole piece. And then I think there's like one clip you have to unclip to get this whole piece off, like behind like one plug. And then after that, we're gonna switch over these pieces into the new piece over there. We're gonna plug it all in. And again, you know, hopefully this goes smoothly, but I guess we'll see. Alright guys, so another update. So here's the old trim piece over here. I did manage to get the AC and, you know, radio stuff off. Sorry I didn't capture it on camera. Honestly, like I just got really into it. It was tough to film it and do it at the same time. But yeah, that thing was a struggle. So there's a whole bunch of clips in here, if you guys can see, that go all along on both of them. This thing was like such a pain to get off. It probably took me like 15 minutes to do. But yeah, you really have to be patient with it. I would suggest using like a flathead or some kind of like pry tool or something to kind of get in there and like detach the pieces from the clips. And so you have to go like start like from the left and go make your way to the right, like slowly doing it. I kept on doing it and then it would snap back in and the side that I just unclipped. It was kind of annoying, but I did eventually get it off. All right, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna attach these to the new trim over here, and then with that we're gonna connect this to the light cable. Yeah, as you can see, there's a light over here, so it kind of sits like over there. So what we're basically gonna do is we're gonna take this cable which powers this light, we're gonna splice it so that it powers this light as well as the lights and this trim over here. But yeah, let me just do all that, and then yeah, so everything's attached back in here, so I think we're all good. Just when you put it in, if you feel like it's connected, there's probably still a couple clips that you still have to connect in here, so just kind of go through and really make sure it's in. It will kind of, you know, not sit flush if not all the clips are in, so just make sure everything is in. Anyways, let's get this thing wired, get the car back together, and then it's getting dark anyways, so we can probably test out what the ambient lighting looks like now. Alright, so before I put the car back together, I basically wanted to test it out, see if everything's working. So as you can see here, the AC is working just fine. Obviously this isn't in yet, but it is working. The radio seems to be working as well. The new ambient lighting is working as well, which is awesome. Obviously this is like super bright right now because the plastic trim piece that goes over here and kind of covers most of it is not there right now. That's this over here. So, and lastly, the light in here still works as well. So now this is basically feeding power to the ambient lighting over here and this light over here, which is perfect. So already it looks really good. First impressions, it does look a little different than the ambient lighting that's already in the car. Just first impressions. Obviously once it gets like really dark, because right now it's getting dark, it's still not super dark, so you really can't tell. The camera doesn't also pick it up perfectly, but I'll do sort of like my impressions, because I know when I was getting this, I was like really wondering, is it really gonna match the rest of the car and stuff like that. I'll also show you guys like how it kind of, you know, like feeds into the iDrive system already. But anyways, let me just put everything back together. By then it'll probably be dark, and yeah, we can kind of run through everything. Alright, so everything is in. As you can see over here, the piece is back in. I will maybe take some shots in the daylight and show you what the gloss looks like, because it's kind of hard to tell right now. But moment of truth, let's turn off this light, turn on the car, see what the ambient lighting looks like. So there it is. Of course, it's not as bright as before. Obviously with this piece here, it does block a lot of it. But I will say it's a lot more orangey than the rest of the ambient lighting. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. It does look good, but it's not my favorite, if I'm being honest. It was kind of what I was worried about. It is very, very orangey. Again, just does not really match like the rest of it, but you know, maybe I'm just a little picky. Like maybe it feels a little darker, like a little more reddish, sort of like the rest of the lights over here, but it does look good. So like I was saying before, you can control this ambient lighting over here, the new one, alongside the rest of the ambient lighting, so it is all connected, which is honestly pretty cool. So it kind of feels like it's just part of the car, like it wasn't something very aftermarket. So the way you do that obviously is like just changing the rest of the ambient lighting. So you just go to settings, you go to lighting over here, so we can change the color. So let me back up so you can see. So right now it's on classic. Classic is orange. If you go to sport, it'll change it to this like whitish blue. This definitely does not match the ambient lighting in the rest of the car. Again, it is still not like super dark out, but even so, over here it's like super bright, and then over here in the current lighting, like it's pretty dim. But if we go to back to classic, which in my opinion looks better, like if you're getting this and you're planning on using it in white, in my opinion, like just don't get it. Like it does not look good. It does not match like the rest of the car. It just kind of feels like it feels more aftermarket. This one kind of blends in with the car a little better. But even if you go down to brightness over here, so you click on brightness and you lower it, if you can tell, it does dim, which is nice. But even at its lowest, like it's still pretty bright, and then you can't see the rest of the ambient lighting. So it's kind of, it's just so much brighter than the rest of the ambient lighting. I think that's what's really throwing it off. Like the color itself actually isn't too bad. So like when I dim it, like it does look a lot better. Like this actually looks good now, in my opinion, at least. Like it looks good. But then yeah, then you can't see the ones on the doors, which kind of sucks. In my opinion, if you're gonna get this, plan to use it in the orange. If you want to use it in the white color, honestly, I don't think it's worth it. Again, like if you put it into white, which I'm gonna do right now, it looks more blue in my opinion, and just does not match the rest of the ambient lighting. It feels like it's its own thing. But if you're planning on doing it and you want to keep it in orange, I do think it looks good. This piece I think is about like maybe 40 to 60 bucks or so, so it's not too bad. It gives you everything that you need. Like you don't need to get the additional, you know, like Y cables or whatever it's called, and you don't really need complicated tools. I actually don't even need a trim tool. But overall, the installation wasn't too bad. It probably took me like maybe 30 minutes. It took a little longer because, you know, the plugs kind of gave me issues, and then also taking off these pieces on the old trim was annoying. Again, I will take some shots during the day so you can see what the gloss looks like. So again, still stick around, I will show you that. Yeah, if you guys want this, I will leave links down in the description below as always, again, for the tools as well. Overall, I mean, I'm kind of like about it. I'm not crazy about it. I don't know. Right now, this thing's just so bright. Like I wonder if there's like a way to like dim this thing kind of separate from the rest of the ambient lighting. I think if I can get this like 50 or even like 30% brightness, I think it'll look better. Surprisingly, like if the rest of the ambient lighting was just as bright, like it would look good, but right now it just kind of, it doesn't fit it. I was hesitant to get this because I had a feeling it was gonna look like this, and I feel like no one really kind of showed what it looks like, so I couldn't really get like a good idea. So I figured I'd go for it. Hopefully if you guys have like that same mindset, like is it really gonna match the rest of the car? Is it really gonna look good? Hopefully this helps and gives you guys like a good idea of what it looks like. Honestly, I wish someone made a video like this before I did so I could tell, because I think overall if I saw this beforehand, I'm not sure if I still would have bought it. Anyways, let me fast forward in time, show you guys what it looks like the next day during the light. All right, so this is the next day. Of course, I have to do this in the daylight so you can see it properly, but here's the new piece over here, the new center console piece. Again, it is glossy right now. The sun is kind of hitting it, so it looks a little lighter, but I'm trying to debate like how I feel about it. It doesn't look bad. So here's the old piece as like a comparison. Again, the old piece was glossy as well. It just had this like matte black finish around it, which in my opinion probably isn't the best. So maybe just keeping it all like one solid piece, like all glossy, does look better. I think overall, I'm just taking a step back, like it looks good. I do like the glossy part of it. I actually do think it looks good. Something that's actually pretty funny, so I was playing around with the ambient lighting last night, and then also this morning. So if you turn on the ambient lighting, this thing is so bright, like I was saying before, you can see it in the daylight. Like literally it's so like it's very noticeable, whereas like the door ambient lighting you can't see at all. That just kind of gives some perspective on how bright this thing is. What I think I'm gonna try to do is get something I can put around, like around the edges over here, to kind of like dim it, maybe like a foggy plastic piece or something like that. I'm gonna try to think of something I can do, but I think that way, if it dims it down in comparison to like the other ambient lighting again, I think it's gonna look much better. I'm gonna play around. If I can kind of, figure out something good and, something that works, I'll show you guys, because if you want to do this as well and you have the same like mindset and thought process as I do, you might want to do the same. But yeah, links for everything down in the description below. Again, I will keep you posted if I can figure out something to do about, dimming this down, keeping it consistent with the other ambient lighting. But yeah, I think that pretty much wraps it up. If you found this video helpful or entertaining, definitely drop me a like, leave me a comment, and lastly, if you're not already, hit that subscribe button, stay tuned, hit the notification bell, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.